So my story with the Salvation Army started originally in 2010 when the earthquake in Haiti happened. Packed my bags, essentially just flew over with some guy I met online who wanted to come with me. We flew over to the Dominican Republic, took a bus in, and we didn't have a place to stay. And one of the guys we met on the bus knew somebody with the Salvation Army and said, let's go stay with the Salvation Army. So we showed up at the Salvation Army camp uninvited, and the leadership there didn't really want us around, and long story short, asked us to leave. But I was really just super determined to stay and help the victims of the earthquake, so me and another friend that I met on the bus decided we were just going to hide out in the Salvation Army camp, and if they wanted to kick us out, they had to physically remove us. That's how it started. We had this idea to go out and assess the orphanages in Haiti that weren't getting aid, collect data, and eventually I took that data back to the leadership at the Salvation Army, which at the time is a guy named John Berglund, who's actually doing the training that we're here at in California right now. And that's how it started, the disaster aid work with the Salvation Army, and since then I've done multiple international trips and disasters with the Army. I feel very just blessed and honored and privileged to have that relationship. And I gravitate towards the Salvation Army for their core beliefs and their motivation, their hard work, their humility. Those are the things that I really relate to. And long story short, when a disaster happens, I want to go in with the Salvation Army as soon as possible. So since Haiti, I did a mission in Japan, 2011, 2013, in the Philippines, where I met up with the Salvation Army again, and they said, maybe you should come train with us. Trained with them in 2015. 2 weeks later, the hurricane in Vanuatu happened, deployed there, had a great experience, and then I came home. 2 weeks later after that, Nepal happened, big earthquake in Nepal, and I deployed again. And every disaster that I go to is just an amazing experience in terms of, it's like an alternate reality. It's sort of like being awoken from a deep sleep, whereas real life, going to work and mostly thinking about yourself, in a sense, it's like you're just in a different reality. It's not as exciting, it's not as fulfilling as serving people in a disaster. And that's what I want everybody to feel is what it is like, the happiness that you feel from helping somebody who desperately needs it. So the most recent deployment that I went to was in St. Thomas after Irma, and I was there for about 2.5, 3 weeks. And while we were there, Maria happened, and we started hearing reports about what was going on in Puerto Rico. And I told leadership of the Salvation Army I wanted to go over to Puerto Rico as soon as possible and start getting to work. So while I was on a deployment, I was already thinking about the next one. So they agreed, they sent me over, and long story short, my experience in some of the other disasters opened an opportunity for me to be the operations chief of what we were doing there in Puerto Rico, and I stayed for a total of 15 weeks for both deployments. Typically, you're supposed to say 2 or 3 weeks, but Puerto Rico was really challenging in a number of ways, and it had just turned out that a couple months before that deployment, I had published a book called the Efficiency Playbook. I have it here. And the Efficiency Playbook has lots of lessons that I've learned from disasters, and there's 67 tactics in here, each their own chapters. And what happened was many of the problems that we had never encountered before, we were able to solve them using the tactics in the Efficiency Playbook. For example, there's this problem of wanting to be perfect in how you're doing a distribution. You want to make sure everybody gets it and it has to be just right. Well, the truth of the matter is perfection's your enemy in a disaster situation. Speed is more important. And so that's one of the tactics, is that speed is typically better than perfection. And there's all these little rules that I had in the book that really helped us out. Everything was smooth, and we were able to deal with very chaotic, complex problems by using those tactics. And so we're here at the training, and I met Hector. Hector had actually read the book and made the connection, and so this is how this interview happened. Is he knows one of the cadets here, and I'm going to give him a copy tell me your name again.
Angel.
Angel. So I'm going to give Angel a copy of the Efficiency. I only brought a couple copies of it, but it talks about it in a general sense, really perfect for somebody who's graduating high school if they want to streamline their life and learn how to avoid wasting time, wasting money, wasting intentions and pursuits that aren't going to be really fulfilling. And this is the book that I wish I would have had when I was 17 or 18 years old, because I had to learn those lessons the hard way. And I would just wish somebody would have said, read this, But that's kind of how I got involved with the Salvation Army. My experience with the disaster aid work, I would do it all the time if I could. And I'm packed and ready and waiting for the next one, and hopefully I can do it for the rest of my life.